sa TikTok.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, pwede natin i-TikTok to Mr. Ivan.
Yes, ma'am.
Ganito pa ka-supportive yung mga classmate niya, guys. So what is your entry for tonight?
My topic for tonight, ma'am, is with embolism. Nature of complication is, this is rare but a life-threatening condition wherein yung amniotic fluid po natin or yung tinatawag nating fetal cell is nag-enter siya doon sa maternal bloodstream ng ating pregnant patient, causing an allergic reaction. So, napaka-importante po ng amniotic fluid because it protects the growing fetus inside the womb from any injuries and even temperature changes. So, yung mga ganitong complication, ma'am, nagkakos siya ng allergic reaction. So, pwedeng maka-experience yung patient natin ng respiratory distress,
Really?
cardiovascular collapse, at saka yung tinatawag po nating DIC or disseminated intravascular coagulation.
Really?
Thank you po.
Level 2 lang yan. Level 2 lang po ito.
So, yung intervention po natin dito, dependent, of course, administering medication prescribed by our physician, assisting with the emergency procedures. Tas yung independent po natin is monitoring vital signs, maintaining oxygenation, ensuring fluid balance, and of course, yung kadalasan nating nakakalimutan, magbigay ng emotional support sa ating mga patient.
Oh, very
At ang-
nursing.
Yes, sir. At ang collaborative po natin is, of course, makikoordinate tayo sa various specialties, mga anesthesiologists, physician, and also with our co-nurses.
Very good. Next. Next. Who's next?
Good evening, ma'am. I am Jalian Oblanco from DSM2 po. Ang topic ko po for tonight po is placenta previa po. Ang placenta po is ito yung nagbibigay sa unborn child ng nutrition and oxygen that they need to grow normally habang buntis po yung mother. Yung placenta previa po, placenta covers the cervix, which is the hole between the vagina and the uterus po. It's either completely or partially ito as opposed to its normal attachment to the upper section of the uterus. So, sino nga ba yung nasa risk nito or panganib? You may be at higher risk if you have nakaharang sa sa uterus mo po, or if you have a fibroids. Ang fibroids po is ito yung smooth muscle cell or fibrous connective tissue na nagre-range siya ng size na from a small piece of rice na lumalaki po siya kagaya ng melon po. Ganun po siya ka-rare kapag lumaki yung fibroids po. Ang next po is yung symptoms po nito, yung main symptoms niya is vaginal bleeding po na hindi po siya accompanied ng kahit na anong pain po. Yes po. Hindi po siya accompanied ng kahit na anong pain, pero pwede siyang ka-feel ng mild cramping po. Pero mild lang po siya. And usually po, in some women, hindi po sila nakaka-feel ng kahit na anong symptoms, and kino-confirm na lamang po ito ng kanilang doctor using an ultrasound or physical examination po. And sa drug medication nito is tocolytic po.
Tocolytics.
Tocolytic.
It's okay.
Tocolytic drugs po. This is the medication that is slow down or inhibit labor po. Tapos the best you can do is always ask your doctor kapag na-notice mo na there's a vaginal bleeding or any point of during your pregnancy.
Okay. Very good. Okay, what's your name?
So, good evening. My name is Cassandra Camil Calica. I'm also from DSM2, and my topic for today will be hyperemesis gravidarum. So, this condition is usually mistaken as morning sickness, but to define, hyperemesis gravidarum is the severe, persistent nausea and extreme vomiting. And nangyayari ito usually during first trimester, kasi dito yung peak level ng pregnancy hormone natin, which is called the HCG or yung human chorionic gonadotropin. Then for the risk factors naman, ano nga ba yung mga nagkakos ng hyperemesis gravidarum natin? So, first is, syempre, yung sinabi ko kanina, hormonal changes. So, dahil sa pagbubuntis po, tumataas po yung level ng pregnancy hormones natin like HCG and estrogen, ganyan. And dahil dito naapektuhan yung digestive system natin which leads to nausea and vomiting. And then another factor na nagko-contribute to its development is yung multiple pregnancies or yung pagkakaroon ng twins, triplets, ganyan. And then pwede ring makakuha tayo ng hyperemesis gravidarum kung may na-acquire na natin itong condition na to nung previous pregnancies natin. And then lastly is if you have molar pregnancy. Then for the signs and symptoms naman, paano ba natin malalaman or ano yung mga pwedeng magpakita para malaman natin na may hyperemesis gravidarum? So, of course, yung sinabi ko na naman kanina, ang first sign is the nausea and vomiting. And then, another sign is the dehydration. So, paano ba natin ma-check ang dehydration? Siyempre, yung first is poor skin turgor. And then, mataas yung heart rate ng patient, mababa yung blood pressure. And then, another sign is the dry mucous membranes. And then, another sign or symptom is the low weight or loss of weight. Kasi dahil sa dami ng nilalabas ng patient, syempre nababawasan yung timbang natin. And then next is the medication. So ang drug of choice naman natin is metoclopramide,
Yeah.
which is an antiemetic drug which relieves nausea and vomiting. And then if needed naman, pwede rin tayo magbigay ng IV fluids, specifically the lactated Ringer's solution para ma-replace natin yung
Fluid
fluids
loss.
and electrolytes na nawala sa body ng patient natin. And then, next is the complications. So, ano nga ba yung mga pwedeng ma-develop ni mother and the baby na complications if ever may hyperemesis gravidarum ang isang patient? So, first is sa mother muna. Ano ba yung mga pwede nilang makuha? First is the hypokalemia or yung pagbaba ng potassium levels ng katawan natin. This leads to muscle paralysis. And then, next naman is the Wernicke's encephalopathy. So, ang nangyayari naman dito is magpapakita ito kapag nagkaroon tayo ng confusion at ataxia or yung loss of muscle control, and then nystagmus or yung involuntary movement ng eyes natin. So, ano nga ba yung Wernicke's encephalopathy? Ito yung deficiency sa vitamin B1 or the thiamine. And then, for the baby naman, yung mga complications na pwede nilang makuha is the first, the intrauterine growth
Retardation.
restriction.
Oh, yes.
And then, next is the low birth weight and preterm birth. And then, yun lang naman. And then, for the nursing intervention naman, first is we have to monitor the input and output ng patient. Kasi kung nagpupush tayo ng fluid sa loob ng katawan ng mother, kailangan din natin i-monitor yung mga nailalabas niya. And also, for the, we have to also monitor the daily weight kasi nga nababawasan. And then, sa hyperemesis gravidarum kasi, they could lose up to 5% of their total weight. And then, we could also advise them to have advanced diet as tolerated. So, dito, inuunti-unti natin yung pagkain ng mother para hindi nabibigla yung body niya. So, pwedeng mag-start sa clear fluids like broth, mga ganyan, jellos. And then, pagkaya na nila, pwedeng magbigay na ng medyo mas mabibigat like crackers, biscuits, ganyan. And then, pwede nang mag-move on sa soft diet hanggang sa mapunta na sa normal diet. And then, we also have to monitor the vital signs palagi kasi dapat stable yung heart rate and yung BP ng mother and also yung heart rate ng baby. And then, we could also advise them lastly to take drinks that contain electrolytes para ma-replace nga yung mga electrolytes na nawala sa body natin. But considering nabuntis sila, pwede silang develop ng gestational diabetes, so dapat sugar-free yung binibigay natin.
Very good. Galing!